Good morning. Good morning. I'm happy to see so many morning people, especially here in New York. Well, welcome to the 2011 Pivot Conference. This conference is not like your typical conference. You don't see tabletops up here, you see sofas. We're not really going to engage in panels. We're not really going to ask speakers to bore you with PowerPoints. We are going to have a conversation all day today and tomorrow that gives you insights into what brands are doing, what agencies are doing, what's working, what's not working, told by the very people who are learning as they go. We have a very, we'll say an aggressive agenda for you over the next 2 days. It's action-packed, it's fast-paced, and we've done so because there is a lot of information to cover. And we wanted to make sure that you had insights, action items, ideas, creativity, things to take away from this conference and put to work. So we've assembled great brands, great agencies, thought leaders, and academics who will share with you everything that they know and everything that they're learning. This isn't possible without you, so I would first like to say thank you for being here. Now, let's get to work. I'm going to give you my PowerPoint. What a way to start a conference. The theme of this event is the rise of the social consumer. We're all pretty familiar with social media, but are we that familiar with the idea of the social consumer and how it is that they think, how it is that they behave, how it is that they find and share information, how it is that they make decisions, because I can assure you it's quite different. We'll call this Social Media 1.0, where agencies, brands, marketers have focused on how to best maximize these channels in a one-to-many marketing monologue. In reality, it's more about the person. But what's taking place right now, and what this entire conference is designed to do, is to tell you a story. It is a conference designed with a story arc. Has a beginning, a middle, and an end. What it starts with is recognizing that there is a traditional consumer. They get information from different places. They share information the way they always have. And to many extents, you still have to reach them the way you always have. You also have this online or digital consumer. This is the individual who is quite comfortable using Google to begin the decision-making process. But today, we have a connected consumer. This is the person that's driving the growth, the rapid growth of social networks, right? The stat that I was just sharing the other day, which blew me away, was how big was the internet in 2004? The size of Facebook today, 800 million people. But it's not just social, it's mobile, it's emerging technology, disruptive technology. They are connected all the time. In many ways, this connected consumer is an audience with an audience of audiences. Barring the Wi-Fi, how many of you are on Twitter right now? Wow. The audience with an audience of audiences. And if I were a brand and I was speaking to you, my job is to speak to you and through you in a meaningful way that hopefully inspires you to share my words with the people that follow you. And that is what your job is as a marketer, to not get someone to just consume content, but to take action against it, and more importantly, to share it. What does that connected consumer look like? Has anybody seen this application? Does anybody use this application? It is, it takes your phone, turns on the camera, so that you can see what you're doing while you're texting. That way you don't hit anything. And I've actually seen people with this while they're driving, God help us. But the point is that this is the person you're trying to reach. This is that connected consumer. They are always on. And it's how you connect with them today that counts for everything. If you've seen that movie, The Terminator or Predator, there are parts of the movie where we get their eye vantage, where we could see everything that they see as they digitize all their targets. And this is that connected consumer. They walk into a retail store, and this is what they see. oh my goodness, look at this product, I got to TwitPic this. Oh, is that a QR code? I better scan that. Oh, I didn't check into Foursquare, I got to do that. Oh, this is Instagram worthy, I got to put a filter on that. This is how they see the world. They're connecting the online and the offline with the people that they're connected to, and it's our job to trigger these actions in a meaningful way. There's been a lot of heat map studies over the years that shows where eyeballs focus, right? Naturally, your consumer focuses on the content. The green boxes that you see around the heat map are ads. And I put those squares there so that you can see where people are not looking. This is not only the person that we're trying to reach, but it is indeed replicable to the social web, right? This is TweetDeck. It kind of looks like what we were just looking at. And this is where attention is focused. And it is our job to reach people in the streams where their attention is constantly focused. And it might be Twitter, it might be Facebook, might be anything. And that's our job to figure out. So what this event is designed to do for you today and tomorrow is to get us to rethink how we're looking at social media. In fact, I joke, but sometimes I'm serious, when I say there's very little about today's social media. In fact, sometimes it's a great oxymoron, like military intelligence. It's media, it's used in social networks, but it's not terribly social. Just3, the company that I've worked with over the years on some of the infographics, and I spent the last 2 years studying the evolution of POEM, paid, earned, and owned media, and how social media and mobile media were driving a new era where we introduced 2 new channels, promoted and shared. And sure, you could argue that promoted is still a paid channel, and sure, you could argue that shared's an earned channel, but I would argue that neither one of the strategies that you use in paid, earned, and owned today would work in shared and promoted. And this is why we are designing new experiences online. Anyone who's run an ad through Twitter will know that you need a complete click-through experience that's unlike anything that you do, unlike anything you've done before, because it has to have social built in. One of the metrics that Twitter has talked about using is this idea of resonance. I love this idea because it is what puts social in social media. It is not a real metric yet, but I would challenge you to make it a metric. Something that can stay alive in the stream because people interact with it, because people favorite it, because people share it, because people react. As you design strategies, regardless of what channel, it has to have resonance across the entire social web. It has to have hooks for Twitter. It has to have hooks for Facebook and any other network, any other app that triggers the audience with an audience of audiences. So one of the things that I'm constantly thinking about late at night, every night, I'm just kidding, but the meaning of like. What does like really mean? Is it really an opt-in? Does it really mean that because you have 35 million people who have liked you on Facebook, that they are ready for you to market at them? Well, Jason says no. It is too casual of an action for any marketer to consider that it is your right to market at them, even if they're on your page. How we are engaging with people today is not how we need to be engaging with them moving forward, and that's what you're going to hear about over the next 2 days. I wrote about some work that I've been studying in HBR that has been tracking floods of customer unlikes on Facebook and unfollows on Twitter simply because they feel that they are being spammed. It is not social media if people are unfollowing you because they are getting spammed. So I leave you with some fresh data that Pivot will be publishing in the next week, and we will send it to you directly first once that report is completed. But I wanted to share with you a little bit about where we are today and where we're going in 2012, if we're going to be alive, that is. People are still experimenting. Look at that, almost down the middle of people who feel that they've got it dialed and people who feel that they still need to experiment to get it. And if you look, hopefully you can see this, what prevents the organization from moving beyond experimentation? If you can't see that, I've put these handy-dandy red arrows there. The first one is budget. Sound familiar? How do we get budget for these programs? The second is we can't figure out how to have clear outcomes for the social strategies that we're designing. And that leads to the absence of a social strategy, which the fourth one there is because of executive skepticism. There's an executive that works with one of the speakers on the schedule for tomorrow. And I got a chance to interview him. He runs a 250,000 employee company, and he has actually some very wise words. I wanted to share those wise words with you. He said, if you come to me with the request for our company to apply budget and resources to social media, that you need increasing resources quarter to quarter because of social media, because it's what everybody's doing, you're going to lose every time. If you come to me because you've aligned social media to our business goals, our priorities, to meaningful outcomes that matter to the business, you are going to win every time. Social media must be an enabler of something. New media must be an enabler. Can't just do it because that is what everybody else is doing. And if you ask brands and agencies, what will trigger your organization's move beyond experimentation? It's two things: the development of a strategy and an increased understanding of the benefits of social media. Not terribly academic, just requires some thought. And as we move forward, this one I thought was particularly interesting. Have you asked your customers what they expect from you in social media? No. No, instead we thought we'd broadcast at them. That is room for growth. And what are your primary goals for social marketing next year? Increase sales and consumer engagement. It's that in consumer engagement that I actually find most fascinating. Because engagement to me is not a conversation, right? I mean, a conversation is a conversation. Engagement to me is measured by the actions and outcomes that take place after that engagement. So what do you design your engagement to do? What's that outcome that you have hoped to have happened, right? Do I want someone to like, comment, view, go away, go offline? Do I want them to click through as a lead, as a sale? Do I need them to walk away as a satisfied customer? Do I need to shift sentiment? All of these things require different engagement strategies, and I am happy to see that it is a top priority next year. And when you ask brands and agencies how they're going to measure success 1 year from now, the number one thing they said was engagement. Engagement, by the way, is a word, and as I was writing the new book, I actually had to go and study how brands and agencies were defining engagement, and it is all over the map. It is in how people are talking about engagement. It is in how the tools are designing engagement metrics into them. It's all good, but I would like for you to think of it quite basically as what we just talked about. The measurement of what happens after you connect with somebody. Because it is in that sets the stage for meaningful metrics. Now this I borrowed from our friends at IBM. This is a CMO study that was just published a week ago. And they are prioritizing new technology to increase engagement, specifically to improve customer relationships and experiences. There's a great company out of San Francisco, great because I know the founders and they're wonderful people, but great also because of their mission, and that company is called Get Satisfaction. And Get Satisfaction has built a platform that brings businesses, answers, insights, consumer needs, and consumers together in a place that is everywhere. And the reason why I share with you what Get Satisfaction is doing, because I spoke at their conference about, oh my goodness, maybe 5 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago now. And that conference was called Customer Service is the New Marketing. And in that entire session, they had reviewed how customer service, engagement in social media at the time and over time was improving word of mouth, improving positive sentiment. And if we are going to use all of these new technologies, big data, social media, analytics, social CRM, apps, tablet apps, you name it, what are we going to do besides market to them? And how can we market to them in ways that increase engagement, in ways that improve relationships? So what are their priorities? What are the priorities of the businesses that IBM focused on? Number one is enhance customer loyalty and advocacy. You know, the most interesting thing about that is I study a lot of these campaigns. Sometimes customer loyalty and advocacy are givens, that they assume that that is what happens when a lot of people view a viral video. How many people in this room have been asked to make a viral video? I thought they go viral after you make it. At least that's what I had thought. But what is the outcome of that, right? I mean, we got to all see the splendor of Old Spice. We got to see the debates that raged whether or not those videos increased in-store sales. Who cares? Everybody was talking about them. It kind of made Old Spice sexy and made that guy a star. I'm wearing it right now. Just kidding. Sorry. But in reality, though, it's not just customer loyalty and advocacy. It's designing experiences, and that second one to me is so important. Designing experiences, and I'd like, with the few minutes that we have left right now, is to talk a little bit about that. When we say words like click-through and microsite and like and follow, those are all paths, those are all experiences, those are all things that we ask our consumers, the journey that we ask them to go on behalf of our business. I've focused the last 3 years specifically on what happens if you redesign that experience to have meaningful outcomes, to trigger behavior, to look at things in a way that you get something and they get something out of it. And the interesting thing that I learned is as you focus on increasing experiences and the benefits of those experiences, advocacy, loyalty, positive sentiment, increased conversations, likes, follows, all of those things are a net result because of that experience that was defined. I should also add sales and leads, thought leadership, traffic, all of the things that matter to us come because we thought about what that experience would look like. And then third on their list, well, and fourth, is looking at social media to engage customers, and then software, integrated software in the back end to manage those relationships more effectively. Because it is just that, relationships, relations, right? We talk about CRM, we talk about social CRM, we talk about SRM, and the thing that unites all of those technology acronyms is the R, the relationship. It is what social media is about. It's the reason why we connect to one another. It is the reason why we follow one another while we unfollow one another. It is why we improve these relationships because we like them. At least I hope we do. I used to use a service called Quitter. Quitter used to tell me when people unfollowed me on Twitter and what that tweet was that sent them over the edge. I had to go to a support group. If your brand used the Quitters of the world, if it used it in the Facebooks of the world, what would it teach us? And I believe what it would teach us is how to design better, more engaging, more meaningful experiences. Really, what it comes down to is not just improving experiences as a technicality, but because it actually has an impact on your business. And that's what we are seeing. The purple from this IBM study, companies that focus on segmentation and targeting, awareness and education, desire, interest, the click to action, as I call it, the action or buy. As you can see, they outperform those who don't focus on it as much. And that really is our opportunity. It works. And that's the point. Because marketing now has a clear and a dotted line to business outcomes. So yeah, sure, executives can ask for ROI, and yeah, you can show it. But that ROI is different across multiple channels. As we sit here over the next 2 days, it really comes down to what your brand is to the traditional consumer, what your brand is to the digital consumer, is not what that brand is to the connected consumer. And that's what we need to think about moving forward, is how do we build and earn relevance amongst the emergence of a different breed of consumer. This is an exciting time to be here. This is an exciting time to be in marketing, in media in general, because you actually will define its course. This is your time to change everything. Thank you very much.